Hi girls, we are going to talk about time minutes before and after the hour today. So I want you to look at this clock. This is lesson 3-7, minutes before and after the hour. And so on this clock, I can look at this and say that my time is 2:50. And I know that because my hour hand is pointing at the 2 or in between the 2 and the 3. And my minute hand is pointing at the 10. Now, I know that the numbers on a clock, I can count by fives to get to that and know that that is 250. So I would double check 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. Today we are going to be focusing on when they give us two clocks and they give us these a one clock and two lines, and they'll say they want us to tell time after the hour, and they want us to tell time before the next hour. And so when we're doing this, I want you to think of it as this. When we're counting on a clock, we always start at 12 and we go around, we call this clockwise. When we follow the numbers in order and we go that direction, it's always called clockwise. What do we call it? So I'm going to represent this with green. These are my plus times. And so after 2 o'clock, we have gone this many minutes after that hour. Can you see that in green there? I might need to get out a different color here. Give me 1 second. Try this. It's not a whole lot better, but you can kind of see that. Now in orange, I'm going to show you there's this much time before the next hour. We still have to go this much time until we get back to the 12 and we change to a new hour. So in this particular example, we are in the 2 o'clock hour, and we know that because that's the number that comes before my two dots, or my colon as we call it. And so we are after 2. We are after that 2 o'clock time. I'm going to go ahead and do this in purple here. We're after 2. Can you see that? You bet. How many minutes after 2 have we gone? Well, we know it's not just 2 o'clock. We've gone this many minutes after 2. You can always check it by looking. This one's kind of the easier one. We know that we've gone 50 minutes after 2, but we can double check it with our clock. So let's count how many minutes we've gone on the green. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. We've gone 50 minutes after 2. Now, we know that we are before another time. We're not before 2 o'clock because we've gone 50 minutes after 2 o'clock. However, we are still before 3 o'clock. We have not gotten there yet. And so whenever you're stacking these, you want to make sure that it goes from 1 hour to the next. They're going to be consecutive things. So this, and then if you count up, would go to this. So we are in between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. We've gone 50 minutes after 2. How many minutes are we before we get to 3 o'clock? And that's what this orange represents. We would look back at this and we say, okay, we know that when my minute hand gets to the 12, it's going to be 3 o'clock. So let's count how many more minutes we need to get there. And that's what this orange is, so I will go ahead and count backwards from 3 o'clock to my current position on the minute hand. Ready? 5, 10. We are 10 minutes before 3. If we let 10 minutes pass, it will actually be 3 o'clock. Now there's a couple things you can do to check these. You can always stack these up and see, does 50 plus 10 equal 60? Yes, that's a great checking point because my minutes would need to add up to the full hour, which is why the green and the orange combined goes all the way around my clock. And we know, yes, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, so that's good. The other thing we check is, did I go from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock? Or did I go from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock? Or 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock? We need to make sure that these are two different times and that we are finding a time that is in between them. In this case, 2:50 is certainly in between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, so we are good to go on that side also. This is what you're going to be practicing all day. And so if you would like to follow along, the activity page is on 183, but I'm actually going to be drawing it on my marker board here. That way you can see this. I highly recommend you putting a clock on your marker boards also, so we can keep adjusting our times. But we are going to go ahead and get started here with activity numero uno. The first time on my clock has the hand pointing on between the 12 and the 1. Looks like it's getting pretty close to the 1. And then my minute hand pointing on my 9. So the first thing that I always do, even though there's not space for it on the lines, is I write what's my actual time. And I know that I can read this as 12:45. So I'm going to write that right up top. Or sometimes there's more space right underneath, but in this case I'm good. Then I will write on my lines when my directions say, write the time as minutes after an hour and minutes before an hour. I go ahead and do that right off the bat on my lines. That way I am ready to complete my directions and I won't skip any silly steps. Capiche? So let's go ahead and look at this one now. How many minutes after the hour have I gone? I know the hour would start at the 12. We've gone 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes after what? What hour are we in? We are in the 12 o'clock hour. So we've gone 45 minutes after 12. And we still have some time to go before the next hour. My next hour after 12 would be 1, so I'll go ahead and write that down so I don't forget. And let's count backwards from when we get to 1 o'clock. How many minutes? 5, 10, 15. That means we are 15 minutes before 1 o'clock. Let's do another practice one. Go ahead and erase. Your next time is going to be this time. I would like you to actually look at this time and tell me what the actual time is on my clock here. What do you think, girls? What time is that? You're right, it is 2:20. So I have gone, let's see, how many minutes after 2 o'clock, and I am before 3 o'clock. How many minutes have I gone after 2 o'clock? Let's count. 2 o'clock started at the 12. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes after 2. Now this one, I'm thinking 20 plus what gives me 60, or I'm also thinking how many minutes until I get back to this 12 for my 3 o'clock hour. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Does 20 plus 40 equal 60? Yes. Is 2:20 in between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock? Yes. That means that I got this one right. It also means, dun dun dun, you are ready for your own practice problem, so erase. This one I want to give you your own work time. The time on the clock looks like this. I would like you to label what that digital time is and then tell me how many minutes after the hour it is and how many minutes before the upcoming hour. This is one that I am going to put, I'm going to check in with you and then we will have. So pause your screen for your work time on this one, and then when you are ready for the answer, go ahead and press play. All right, quick speed check. The time on this is 5:40, which means that I have gone 40 minutes after 5 o'clock. I am in between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and I know that I've got 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to go before I get to 6 o'clock. How'd you do? Hopefully good. If not, make sure that you are asking me questions on Thursday, and we will do practice problems for these on Thursday when we meet. I'm going to put the next one on your slides. I just need to mark it down quick here. And we'll probably do one more practice problem together here. Ready? This time is looking like this. Go ahead and find the digital time. Tell me how many minutes after the hour you've gone, and also how many minutes before we get to the next hour. Pause your screen so that you can work this out and press play when you are ready to hear the answer. All right, ladies, here's your answer on this one. My time on the clock is reading as 10:15, which means that I have gone 15 minutes after 10 o'clock. I'm in between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and it would take me 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 more minutes to get to 11. My quick check is that 45 plus 15 does in fact equal 60. My time is in between 10 and 11, and I am good to go. If you have any questions about these ones, or you've had a hard time, you can message me privately, you can put a message in the comments on today's assignment, but I do want to know which problems we need to practice the most when we meet next time, okay? So in that first activity, we were finding time to just the 5-minute marks. This time we're getting a little bit more specific and a little trickier, and this is telling time to the minute. So first what you're going to need to do is when you draw your clock, I want you to go ahead and add your minute lines, and we can do that together now, okay? So on my picture, I'm going to make sure that I've got my lines for each number, and then I will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth one goes on the number. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can pause your screen if you need more time to work on this. Just make sure that you have 4 little dots in between each big long line. And don't rush it too much, because these little dots, not dots, but little minute lines, are going to be critical in solving these problems accurately. So if you need more time to get your clock up to snuff, you may pause your screen and do so, and press play when you're ready to continue. So now that we are telling time before and after the hour to the 1-minute marker, we have to be really careful when we're looking at the pictures. And so this first picture looks like this. I'm even double checking. And their minutes markers don't go exactly to the line. And so what I do whenever I have it on paper in front of me is I actually extend that line out so that it connects to a minute mark, and I know that that's 2 clicks after the 25-minute marker now, right? So that would make it 27. So that's again why I always write this digital time, so I don't have to go back and double check those specifics again. So I know this time is 6:27. We don't know an AM or a PM because they didn't provide that for us, and so that's okay. We don't need it. However, we do need to tell time after our current hour and before our next hour. If it is 6:27, it is safe for us to assume that we have gone 27 minutes. Let me show you guys actually another trick here. If I write this over here, instead of right above my clock, this makes this part really easy. If you're able to read the time on the clock, you can just crisscross these. You've gone 27 minutes after 6 o'clock. See how that works? These just crisscross. Then we know that that's in between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So we're still before 7. We would need to count, starting at the 12, how many more minutes we'll need to go before we get to 7 o'clock. So let's go ahead and do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And now I'm to my individual dots. 31, 32, 33. These are the ones, because they're so specific to the 1 minute markers, I always double check that these numbers count up to 30. 7 plus 3 is 10. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. Excuse me, I didn't mean count up to 30. I meant that they count up to 60 for the 60 minutes and an hour. So those do. That one checks out, good to go. And my time of 6:27 is in between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, so I know that that is good to go as well. You ready to do one practicing with me? Let's go ahead. Erase. Takes a little longer when you're trying not to mess up your clocks, huh? Okie dokie, here we go. Our next time on the clock, I'm gonna do is this one. This time I'm gonna say is 3:49, and I got that because, oops, excuse me. There we go. I got that because it's 1 minute before 3:50. That's why I didn't have to actually count. Go ahead and you find how many minutes after the hour and before the next hour that would be. So pause your screens for your work time, and when you're ready for the answer to check in with me, go ahead and press play. Okay, we can always start with that crisscross, so we know that we've gone 49 minutes after 3 o'clock. That puts us in between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. We just need to figure out how many more minutes does it take to get to that 12 and before o'clock. So we'll start at the 12 and count back. 5, 10, 11. 11 minutes before 4. How'd you do? Hopefully splendidly. We'll do a couple more practice ones like that, and then I will send you off for your slides. Alrighty, here is your next time. It looks like this. This one I want you to actually find the digital time on your own, as well as telling the minutes after the hour and the minutes before the next hour. And I will give you a moment to pause your screens and work that out. Press play when you are ready to check in with me. All right, ladies, this time on the clock to me looks like 7:30, 31, 32, and that one's really sneaky. I'm gonna call it 7:33. If you said 7:32, I would take either of those. So I'm gonna say that 7:32 or 33, either one works. If you said it's 7:33, you would say 33 minutes after 7, or you could have said 32 minutes after 7. Then to find how much time before the next hour, let's count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26, 27, 27 minutes before 8 o'clock. I know that these are right if I said it was 7:33. If you said it was 7:32, then it would look like this. 32 minutes after 7. And then it would be 28 minutes before 8. All right? Again, if you've got questions on it, you can touch base with your parents or be ready to talk with me when we practice together at our next Zoom. But you may erase. Okay, girls, this is our last practice problem together before I send you off for your homework and remembering. Looking at this time, let's go ahead and find our digital time together. It looks like my hour hand is in between my 12 and my 1. So for my hour, would I say 12 or 1? I would say 12, right? Because it's in between. So it's still on that 12 o'clock until it passes the 1. So it's 12. And let's go ahead and figure out what minute marker we are at. It looks like we're close to the 9. Which would be 9 times 5 is 45. So it's not 12:45, 46, 40. I'm going to say that extends to 47. So let's call that 12:47. I would like you to go ahead and figure out how many minutes after the hour you've gone, and then how many minutes before we get to that 1 o'clock hour. So go ahead and pause your screens. Press play when you're ready to check it with me before you move on to homework. All right, girls, if we crisscross, we have gone 47 minutes after 12 o'clock, which means we are before 1 o'clock. To figure out how many minutes we would still need to go to get to 1, we would count back from that o'clock hour. Ready? 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 minutes before 1 o'clock. We always double check that this time is in between 12 and 1. Yes. And then we double check that these minutes add up to what? How many minutes are on the clock? 60. All right, 7 plus 3 is 10. 4 plus 1 plus that extra 10 is 6. So we are good to go there. It is 47 minutes after 12 o'clock and 13 minutes before 1 o'clock. For your homework and remembering today, I would actually just like you to complete the even numbers only. What do I want you to complete? Good. So you are going to do homework and remembering both sides. 3-7. But you only need to complete your even. So that means you only need to do 2, 4, 6, 8 on the homework side. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 on the remembering side. So you'll do those, and I will be checking about half of those on your slides today. So good luck, girls.